think that everyone needs to know what their skill sets are. Also too, I think that entrepreneurs, especially in the early stages, they have this term of, this is my baby. Oh my God, this is my baby. I don't want anyone to be involved with my baby. Yeah. Having that mindset initially is probably fine because you want to, understand what is it that you're building. But then also eventually you're going to have to open up and to allow like industry experts to come in to advance the mission. So I think that it's really important to have a diversified team of individuals that are looking to build and move it forward, but also, making sure that you understand your leadership style and what moves you.
You're listening to the Black to Business podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping Black entrepreneurs start, market, and grow their businesses. I'm Monique, and I'm the founder of Black to Business, and today we're switching things up a bit. Since 2017, we focused on highlighting Black men in business who are continuing to push our communities forward. So we decided to dedicate the month of June specifically to celebrating Black men with our special series entitled Black Men Who Lead. We're so lucky to have Aquarius Kelly, educator and founder of A Lover's Ambition Lifestyle Group, step in as our guest host. In 2017, Aquarius actually hosted our very first Men Who Lead panel in partnership with Verizon Wireless. So we're so grateful that he agreed to host this special series. Let's jump into these amazing conversations.
Welcome to the Men Who Lead edition of the Black to Business podcast. I'm your guest host, Aquarius Kelly, and today our guest is Jeff Lindor. How are you doing today, Jeff?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm doing great, man. Things are coming along excellent, and we're just happy to have you join us today.
Oh, man, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we will be discussing leadership and the power of community in entrepreneurship. So to kick things off, would you please provide us with your backstory and how you went about navigating to where you are today?
So just on a high level, born in Haiti, raised in Brooklyn, and I just always just saw the challenges that the Black community faced, but we were just so bright. We are so bright, so talented, limited resources, and so isolated. So, worked in corporate America, also worked in city government, and, worked in banking as well. And I just saw that the higher that you go, the less of you that you see. And there's this myth of there aren't enough positive, brothers out there, but we're really killing the game, but we're just so isolated. So that's what led me to start the Gentleman's Factory, to really, be that institution that really brings gentlemen together, but to also solve the problems that we face in our communities. And we've been growing since then.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about the mission of Gentleman's Factory, and as well as Groom Success, correct?
Yep, sure. Yeah. So Gentleman's Factory started out as a co-working social club for Black men. And, we opened up in 2016, where we needed a physical space for us to go to come share ideas, build community. And what happens when gentlemen come together, so much happens, right? So we've then expanded digitally. So we have a mobile app where we have members in 18 states and in 4 countries. But in addition to that, though, it's really the businesses that started out, or the investments that were made, or the partnerships and the friendships that were, discovered and built. So, when we come together, we move the world. And when we're isolated, we could potentially just move ourselves, right? So that's really the focus and the ethos of what it is that we're doing. And with GroomedSuccess, we're a consulting firm that provides professional development training for young men of color in the schools, in the jails, and in different parts of our great city.
That's awesome to hear. You mentioned professional development training. I myself am actually an educator.
Oh, nice.
5th grade, in my 4th year. And recently I have been seeing a lot as it pertains to recruitment and retainment of educators of color, specifically men of color. What is your experience within that particular space when it comes to recruitment, retainment, identifying talent, and identifying people of color? You know, because it seems as though we are not taking up the space that we know we should be taking up, but it seems like that's not happening.
Right. Well, what I would say is that Black people are brilliant. And with the things that we faced, and for us to still strive and wake up every day to be the best version of ourselves, comes to show you that Harvard Business School can't teach you that. MIT can't teach you that. But if you are Black and you did graduate from Harvard Business School and you had to deal with all of those microaggressions and racisms and all of these things, then, oh man, like, you're a machine, right?
Yeah.
So I think that from a recruitment, a hiring standpoint, hiring Black and buying Black is buying or supporting or enhancing a community that doesn't lack skill, doesn't lack talent, but it's just under-resourced. And that's strategic because I think that society profits off of our demise.
Absolutely. I mean, just for me, it seems logical, right? If we have a certain percentage of communities or members within certain communities in a certain in a certain area, right? For me, it's like, okay, if we have brothers who are getting locked up for petty crimes, but we can instead use this talent, right? Brothers who are super talented, but maybe we're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and position them to use that talent and skill in whatever industry they may want to devote that to. It seems like it will help to enhance society as opposed to seeing our people, Black people, Latino people, people of color behind bars, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have any experience with, you mentioned you work within the prison population, with the incarcerated population. Mm-hmm. What's your experience with that?
Well, so I have a master's in urban policy. And immediately after graduate school, I worked at the New York City Department of Correction, where I served as an advisor to City Hall, but also to the executive staff at Rikers Island and at the Department of Corrections. So in that, what I saw was the face of criminal justice right in front of my face, right? That's what, inspired me to build the Gentleman's Factory, but then also GroomedSuccess. So when I resigned from that position to pursue entrepreneurship, I started working with ACS, the Administration for Children's Services.
Okay.
And at ACS, they have a close to home initiative where it's for the court-involved youth who were detained. Instead of them going to, upstate after sentencing, they were in homes in New York City. So what I did through my company was provide training and mentorship, but then also, helping them to understand that the world is changing and looking at the opportunities that automation has, coding has, artificial intelligence, e-commerce, etc. So I guess what I'll say is that with my experience working with this population, I just realized that they are so talented, but if we were to invest in our community, then certain choices wouldn't necessarily have to be made.
Okay, and what are some of those choices that wouldn't have to be made?
Well, I think it's survival, right? And I'm never condoning violence or anything. Absolutely not. But if you provide, access to opportunity at the same scale as other communities, then I'd love to see what the numbers would look like, right? Because if there's no jobs, underfunded schools, food deserts, etc., then
limited.
What do you think would happen, right? Yeah. So I think that we need to further invest in our community, build institutions in our community, and some of the things that the individuals do that would lead them into a Rikers Island or, prison, etc. One would see those numbers declining because they have access to resources and opportunities just like everyone else does.
Yeah, absolutely. You sit in a very unique position, having the experience that you've had within the system, working within a government infrastructure, seeing how people navigate through that infrastructure. What pain points and insights have you observed in your work doing what you've done within those respective realms?
What I've seen was just the fact that it's a cycle, right? And we look at the end result, but not the root causes. So if we look at the root causes and address the root causes, then the outcomes will change. And I think it's very lazy thinking if we just, exclusively focus on the, lasting, or feel like if we just focus on, again, the end result, but not say, okay, how do we, address the school to prison pipeline, right? How do we address, the food deserts, right? How do we address the wealth gap or the achievement gap, right? In New York City, there was a report that said that stated that one of the schools, I believe it was Stuyvesant High School in Manhattan, that there were only 6 Black students that got accepted into Stuyvesant, whereas there were, hundreds of other students from other populations there. Right now, for those who know these specialized schools, that is like the windows of opportunities are expanded in these schools, right? It's a pipeline to Harvard, right? It's a pipeline to Yale. But then also, too, if you're telling me that only 6 Black kids are, capable of learning at that level, no, that's a myth. That's a lie, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But then also, too, what does that do we're also robbing the white students and the Asian students of experiencing experiencing Black talent, right? So that now when they become decision makers at IBM or at, Microsoft or at their own companies, etc., it's going to now say, oh, I don't know any Black people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, wait, what do you mean you don't know any Black people? But where are they going to find them? Right? If we continue to, suppress Black talent.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Stuyvesant High School. I'm very familiar with Stuyvesant High School. When I was in junior high school, actually, I'm from Staten Island. I happened to had the opportunity to participate in what was called a MSI program for incoming 7th graders and 8th graders. So 7th grade into my 8th grade year, I participated in MSI, which stood for Math and Science Institute, which was specifically meant to develop a pipeline and prepare junior high school students for the admissions test for the specialized high schools, including Stuyvesant. So I'm definitely familiar with how that system works. And I agree wholeheartedly that it's up to people like us to help to create opportunities for the members of our communities. And I also believe that a lot of it starts with listening. So when we are sitting down with students, listening, when we are sitting down with community members, listening to the concerns that they voice, so that, again, people like yourself and myself can navigate and advocate for those whose voices are not being heard.
Right, absolutely.
So when we understand that we are in those positions, yourself as a leader, representing the defined institutions that you represent, what tends to be top of mind for you just day to day in regards to the impact you want to have socially? What's usually top of mind?
Top of mind is, how do we connect and advance our community, right? And how do we bring the resources so that we can be the best version of ourselves? And also, how do we transition our community from surviving to thriving? And if we continue to just want to survive, then we'll be distracted with the day-to-day's operations of our lives, in which you have to, focus on the day-to-day. But if we're looking to thrive, then that means that we can also look at life 6 months out, a year out, 5 years out, 10 years out. One thing that I'll say is that recently Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, outgoing CEO, he's taking his his brother to space with him in a couple of months. I'm like, yo, you going to space, bro? Right? Which, like, that's amazing. Such an amazing achievement. But also the freedom to explore. We don't have that in our community. And I would love for the Black community to say, yo, what's going on in space? Right? We don't have that luxury. So I want to make sure that we get that luxury so that we can build.
Absolutely. I agree. And I have the same mission. And when you mention having our basic needs taken care of, I think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm literally looking at it right now. And it starts with physiological needs, right? Shelter, food. You mentioned food insecurity, food deserts. And I believe that a lot of this is or can be more integrated in regards to how companies and organizations seek to the communities in which they should be serving because they occupy. What are your thoughts on the intersection of business and community?
I think that it goes hand in hand, right? So a social agenda without an economic agenda is like one hand clapping. So we need both, right? And I think from a business lens, one of my mentors, Gentleman's Factory member Sean Rochester, wrote a book called The Black Tax and What is the Cost, the economic cost of discrimination in America. And, he has this concept called PhD, and it's purchase, hire, and deposit Black, right? So it's from a purchasing standpoint, right? And we could purchase, we can buy Black, right? Where the Black-owned businesses. One of our members, Anthony Edwards, has an app called EatOkra, and EatOkra, it's a directory of all of the Black-owned businesses in the United States of America, right? So that's purchasing Black. Hiring Black is, the corporations, right? Hiring Black talent so that, more Black people are entering into the middle class and the upper middle class and the super wealthy, right? And also depositing Black. So that's, Black banks, that's Black VC funds, that's Black private equity funds, et cetera, right? So it's really making sure that we have the comprehensive approach. So I think business and community goes hand in hand.
Yeah, definitely. And as you mentioned, a few of the different approaches, I think of the sectors and industries that help to keep the economy running. And I believe myself, I'm making time to familiarize myself with those industries and sectors, specifically within the stock market, because I believe in order for us to truly make impact, we should spend time studying and analyzing what already exists and the position that we need to take to prepare ourselves, skill up, learn what's necessary to learn so that we can have a stake in those industries as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in regards to your current work, what are some current projects that you are involved in? What are some things on the forefront? Some projects and initiatives that may be coming down the pipeline, if you don't mind disclosing anything.
No, sure. So I'll give the world a short glimpse of the future of Gentleman's Factory. And, so the world is opening back up. So we're, looking to have more in-person events at our loft. But then we're also looking to open up more locations throughout New York City, and throughout America and throughout the world, right? So we are growing our physical model. And then we have a really interesting model to do that. So we're looking to purchase our properties, and we have a really great, group economics model to do that. And then from our digital lens, we have a digital app where we have members all across the world, and just empowering gentlemen to be great, So, we're looking to have thousands of members relatively soon, and then we're reaching our goals. And we're looking to, create also a fund to support the businesses and the entrepreneurs that are members of the Gentleman's Factory.
I know you mentioned group economics. Would you be able to elaborate on your approach and outlook on group economics and the importance of group economics?
Sure. You know, like I definitely can't get into gentlemen's factories, because that's our secret sauce.
Yeah.
Right? But I would say though that it is important that we work together, right? Because if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you got to go together, right? So the way that I started Gentleman's Factory, you know, I was able to raise capital from my friends and my family, and to, you know, grow. You know, we've raised a lot more money since then, but, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do this had it not been for my initial investors, you know, coming in to really build with us, right? You know, so like I always charge everyone to practice group economics because everyone else does it, and that's how communities grow.
And if there is another fund specifically within the Black community, would you consider a partnership based on the particular project at hand or investment at hand?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, we are always open to having conversation. So, yeah, totally.
And is there a name of your fund for people to look out for? How can people look more into that?
Well, you know, like when someone becomes a Gentleman's Factory member, they'll get updates as to what the next milestones and things of that sort will be. But then also what I would say to the general public, though, is that we have a monthly pitch competition where we allow for members and even some non-members to pitch, and there'll be a panel of VCs, angel investors, and, you know, there's a cash prize of $1,000 or $1,500, you know, and then that's just there to, you know, buy some Google ads or so, right? You know, but so, you know, this is definitely a movement that we're pushing together.
Got you. And in watching some of your interviews on Instagram, I checked out some IGTV interviews. I know you mentioned the price of membership for Gentlemen's Factory. Would you mind disclosing that just so everyone?
Oh no, yeah, for sure, right? So it's two tiers. So we have the club membership for those who want to be a part of the social club, and that's $150 a month. And we have the digital membership for those who want access to our digital community, and that's $65 a month.
Got it. And I know sometimes people hear a price and they may think, oh, that's a lot of money, right? However, they may not be looking at the value that they are seeking when it comes to being a part of a community and investing in self. So be able to talk about why this membership is worth the value that you are investing into it.
Well, I mean, one thing that we don't do is like sell the membership, right? Like in a sense of like, oh, you need to join, right?
Yeah.
You know, we always say if you want to go, you know, fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And, you know, we also see that this is not for everybody, right? Right. So we also see that this is not for everybody. You know, there are some folks that may not need to or may not find value in this, which is totally fine, right? Because what we always say is that this is a two-way street. You know, we can put you in the rooms with VCs. We can, you know, surround you with resources. But if you're not, you know, engaging or if you're not participating, then there's literally nothing that we can do, right? So this is for folks who are looking to grow and looking to build with fellow gentlemen. And, you know, if they feel as though that this is for them, they apply. Because one thing, too, is that everyone goes through a screening process, you know, and then the screening process is more like an interview where we're both interviewing each other, right? You know, so they can ask more questions about Gentleman's Factory. You know, my team would just ask them, like, you know, what are your goals? What are you looking to do, etc. But it's really, you know, this community where everyone knows what is it that we're doing so that we could better our community and then better ourselves, right? So, if that's anyone listening here, you can go to gentleman'sfactory.com to submit an application, and my wonderful team would just give you the next steps.
Awesome. Speaking of the interview process, what are some attributes and qualities that you usually look for in someone that may want to work with you, for you, a potential partner? What do you tend to gravitate to?
Forward, right? So got to move forward. And you determine what forward is. But if someone isn't looking to move forward, then Gentleman's Factory is not for them, right? So what I mean is that forward can mean, I'm trying to raise, $10 million for my next business. Sure, that's forward. And we have members that do that. Forward could also mean, I'm trying to lose 15 pounds because, my cholesterol is really high and I'm trying to get off my blood pressure medications. That's forward, right? We got you. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's really what our mission really is, as gentlemen who are looking to move forward. And that's what we look for, internally as we build our team. And that's what we look for as members.
And what does your team currently look like to date internally?
Oh man, so thank God, man. I got an army of super talented folks who are just building, from tech to strategy to advisors to investors, etc. So it's really this powerful movement and this powerful community of guys who are just building.
And as a leader, leaders have different styles, right? Mm-hmm. Me personally, I've always been into empowering the people that I work with, whether they're colleagues or students, to always pursue the vision that they believe is significant for them. Mm-hmm. And that may mean that we work for 3 years together, 5 years together, a lifetime together. But regardless of where they end up, just knowing that when we work together, we did significant and meaningful work, and to always, in a way, give them that blessing and support, regardless of where they end up and what company they end up working for. What is your approach to the transience of working with other people, other teams, and just that dynamic?
Well, I think that everyone needs to know what their skill sets are. And also too, I think that entrepreneurs, especially in the early stages, they have this term of, this is my baby. Oh my God, this is my baby. I don't want anyone to be involved with my baby. Yeah. Having that mindset initially is probably fine because you want to, understand what is it that you're building. But then also eventually you're going to have to open up and to allow industry experts to come in to advance the mission. So I think that it's really important to have a diversified team of individuals that are looking to build and move it forward, but also, making sure that you understand your leadership style and what moves you. So, for example, with me, I'm a super high level thinker. Oh man, I think so high level. And because I see everything from 10,000 feet, right? Details oftentimes is a challenge, or maybe not a challenge, but it's just, I don't want to do those things, right? Yeah. But a team loves the details, right? And, gets frustrated a little bit with the super high level things, right? So it's just important to have that diversified pool of individuals, to push the mission forward.
And how do you manage your energy? How do you keep your energy up on a day-to-day? Being a leader, being someone who runs multiple initiatives, How do you stay energized?
Just having a balanced approach, so over the weekend, I celebrated 10 years of marriage, right? So my wife and I went to Vegas, out of all places, just, chill, hang out. And we were riding ATVs. We don't gamble or anything, but it was just like, let's just like hang out and stay up late, right? You know what I mean? So that, and I have 2 children who I love so dearly. What I also realized is that if you take the business too seriously, then it'll control you. And if the business controls you, then you won't have control of the business, right? But if you do not identify your identity with a thing, and you identify your identity with your core belief systems and values and faith, then I think that'll make you a strong powerhouse, right? So I had to disassociate my identity with the Gentleman's Factory and associate my identity with my core values and my core faith and belief systems. And once I did that, I felt free to really be the best version of myself.
Awesome. And what are your core values? What is some of your core values and belief systems?
So I am a Christian man. So I'm a firm believer in Christ, right? So that's my rock. And family, legacy, and purpose. You know what I mean?
Got you. Family, legacy, purpose. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So that is your North Star.
Yep. Absolutely.
Cool. Speaking of your North Star, I know you mentioned some resources earlier in regards to, the book that you mentioned, The Black Tax, correct?
Yep.
What are some other resources, podcasts, books, information that you are currently engaging in?
So, I'm looking to be a lot more healthier. So I go on the treadmill or, take long walks as I'm listening to audiobooks, right? All right. So, like I recently finished Obama's book about his presidency, which is I think one of it's a brilliant mastermind. I'm a policy guy, so for him to just see how he was able to speak about the details of every decision that he made, I was like, oh wow, interesting. I didn't agree with everything, but I'm like, oh wow, that's why you try to disassociate yourself with Reverend Wright or with the beer summit, right? I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, thank you for giving me your perspective. And also, I love to listen to the Breakfast Club, right? I am a Breakfast Club guy. I feel as though that gives me a good balance of pop culture, what's going on in today's news, etc. And Angela Yee and I sit on the same board, the Fund for Public Housing in New York City, and also. Gentleman's Factory has an amazing podcast that I recommend that everyone subscribe to. You can find Gentleman's Factory on all podcasts, wherever podcasts are found. And it's also just conversation, Gentleman's Factory, we have these curated conversations every week with members. So that in itself is our own kind of a resource and information hub. So I'm and obviously, with I'm always watching the news, so every day, especially because this is the mayoral election season time, and one of my mentors is a mayoral candidate. So supporting him and just like watching the news and seeing how the polls are and all of these things. And yeah, I mean, so, I'm just information hub, man.
And is there anything you would like to share as it pertains to voting, the polls, primaries, anything specifically with that while you're on this platform?
Well, I mean, I would definitely say that there's a lot of really great candidates out running for mayor of the great city of New York. A lot of really great Black candidates as well. So I would say for everybody to vote what their value systems are. And I'd also recommend everyone to take a really close look at Ray McGuire. I think that he has a really powerful vision for New York City. And I'd recommend that everyone, look at Ray's website, read up on Ray, look at his background, and look at his agenda for New York City. And also look at all the other candidates. But I definitely recommend that everyone take a serious look at my guy, Ray McGuire.
Nice. And like yourself, I know you mentioned that you listen to the Breakfast Club. I've actually been watching a lot of Drink Champs recently, so that's my taste of that world. And I'm also a listener, man. So I don't know if you're familiar with a audiobook app called Scribed, but I've been listening to a ton of different audiobooks on there. So you may want to check that out. I'll send that to you, knowing that you like to listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Oh, no, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And to close things out, what other words of advice or wisdom would you give to anyone listening now who may be in college trying to figure things out, or in high school trying to tap into learning more about themselves as well as the world around them?
What I would say is that you need community. You need community. You cannot do this by yourself. And if you try, you will not go far, right? You'll go fast. You won't go far. So you need community. And also what I also say too is that in addition to knowing people, you got to also have the substance, right? So it takes both. So just knowing good people, but not having qualifications, you just know good people, take a selfie with them and put it on Instagram, right? But if you have the substance and you did the homework and you did the research, and now what you need is someone to push your agenda, then, that's also equally important. So you need both, right? And what I also say is that ain't nobody really got the right answers, right? Everyone is just figuring it out. COVID happened, everyone was unprepared, and everyone was just figuring out, and then we made adjustments, right? But, what I'd say is that don't really focus on what other people are doing, especially if they're putting it on social media and things of the sort, because they're only putting up the highlights. But what I would say is definitely, make sure that you're just focusing on you and being the best version of yourself. And also, let's just stop trying to survive and let's thrive. Yeah.
Facts. Absolutely. Hands down. And if I was a business, or there's a business out there wanting to work with you right this minute, how would you say you can help?
Help the business? Well, how would I say how I can help the business?
Yes. How would you say that you can help the business?
Well, I mean, it all depends on where the business is and what the business needs help with, right? So I personally am a strategist, right? So I can provide consultation, etc. But me as an individual, I can do so much, but I've built an army, right? And within this army, it's a community of other Jeff Lindors who are looking to help businesses grow, right? So I'd say the biggest value that I can add is community.
Enough said. Perfect. And how can our community go about staying in touch with your work as well as learning more about the magnificent work that you're doing?
Oh, thank you, man. So we're on, you can follow us on Instagram, and it's at Gentlemen's Factory _ and it's Gentlemen's with the MEMS Factory. And you can go on our website, gentlemensfactory.com. And if anyone wants to, get in touch with me, my personal Instagram is Mr. Community, MR Community NYC. Let's build.
Awesome, Jeff. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the conversation, the resources, the insight. We're looking forward to continuing to see you ascend and evolve and really put on for the community, man. So again, thanks a lot.
No, man, thank you so much for having me. And I love the great work that you guys are doing. And please let me know how I can add value.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Enjoy your day.
All right, you too. All right.
We truly hope that you enjoyed that conversation between two powerful Black men. Be sure to check out our website for complete show notes and resources mentioned during this episode. I also want to share that we've partnered with The Creative Brother to curate our 2021 list of Black men inspiring in business and in their communities. Visit blacktobusiness.com/Black Men Who Lead to view our list of 30 Black men changing the face of entrepreneurship. Let us know if you're enjoying this series by rating the show on Apple Podcasts. Until next time.